but later on, though.
Honestly, I think that's the smartest play because you see right now, all three of those players up on the hill are stacked up next to each other, and they may have seen, because you had people that were rotating in, I believe that's southeast of the little factory area they're in right now. So they get the knock, yeah, but you're down below. Your only option basically is to try and take shots on the structure and get the knockdown player exposed and immediately eliminate. If you don't get that player's crawling back and using the line of sight on the hill. Plus you have other people that they're going to see that and a chance for third party. I would rather see these players do exactly what they're doing right now and sit inside the build, do all the wall replaces, and wait just a minute, because what might happen, and you see in your mini-map, that almost is the call there, that trio, the one that they got the knock on, there's a team further outside. They're going to get pressure from the back. They have a chance to sandwich. That might be eliminations that they can pick up later rather than applying pressure and maybe getting third party themselves.
I almost also want to say, though, that's the same team as done got sniped twice by FHD, so he's a magnet for the heavy sniper. Got to be careful, buddy.
Little rivalry
Tuck
building up
the
there.
head down. You got to duck. Careful on the peaks here, but NM7. Teams are collapsing everywhere. Minute left. And he catches another one right in the tail. Aziz TV is going to go down, and this time they are not safe. He says it's time to battle. They want to push this through with less than a minute on the rotation here. In comes the stinkers. The heavy snipe cracks open the wall, and there is a team nearby. They can hear the shots. They're looking over if you look at your map, but they're going for safety instead. It's a long rotation.
Around. You see that those two trios in the southeast side, they're rotating around trying to get in the safe zone. Meanwhile, these two teams that have literally fought each other time and time again now are finally applying pressure. NM7 with a build-up, trying to get the high ground. Not going to be able to do it just yet. Going to wait just a moment. Doesn't want to get pushed too far in on that trio without his teammates at his back. One elimination currently, but if the pressure is good and gets a better position, might be able to convert that into another three. We'll see here in a second. Shots from inside the safe zone. They're just at the edge. And there are so many teams so close together. 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe 5 trios within probably 50 meters of each other right there.
And Aziz and his trio is actually really lucky. Aziz was traded out, but that duo, what was left of the trio, managed to squeak away here. Heavy snipe returns. He hits another one. FHD is on fire right now with the shot. So you can see here, this team is scary with a double heavy sniper. They're loaded up right now. Here comes the focus fire.
A trio focus fire is big, but FHD pays the price. Another team up behind. This is what I was saying. 5 trios in one, like basically 150-meter circle is so tough because as soon as you start spraying on one, everyone's going to look at you and say, you're exposed right now and you're not looking at me. It might be the time to take a shot. Imagine if instead of AR spray, that was a heavy snipe. That could have been an immediate knock, and then suddenly the tables are turned on this team for power.
That's right, but it's okay. Power has plenty of heals to spare here. You saw he did manage to pop 2 big pots right there, so the squad kind of hooking him up. They still have 6 chug splashes. They have, slurps for the road. They're very, very set up right now.
With how close together they are to other teams, I'm surprised they're not using... They have 11 chug splashes. Use even just one of those just to top off one player and get your last one to only... Every single HP that you can get. The double snipe, double heavy. Here we go. Looking for it. Finds the first one. Side goes down. Straight into the launch pad to rotate into the circle. This trio's playing very, very well.
Notsai should have known better than to sit still in a 1-by-1. That is one of the risks you take, especially in trios. There's way too many eyes focused on the field here. There's no way you can sit still in a box. That's the price you pay right there. FHD, Yonce, and NM7 doing a fantastic job right now holding the server down. Really, they're dictating the pace right here with all pressure, all fire coming in. This is the most active trio we've seen so far in the server.
The east side of the map basically belongs to them thus far. There is that team. You saw them look up above on top of the hill looking down. You got to be very careful on the angles. Would not be surprised if there's a chance shots come down from the top. NM7 getting shot. Team from MES over there. Looking back, one tap just past them. You look very top middle of your screen. That's the team I was talking about. They're all the way up top. They have a zip. They have height advantage. The little window peak on the brick wall that's edited right there, just out of screen now. You also down in Happy Hamlet have Minzu, Moon, and Kinji. The ultimate high ground down here. Number of teams underneath.
This is actually a fantastic loadout as well. 6 shockwaves, 2 shield bubbles. They're set up so pretty up here. Nice little headshot right there from Kinji's going to put some hurting on that team right there. They do have a heavy snipe to crack open the build as well. Stink, someone tries to take that high ground. He's going to eat a couple of bullets for the sandwich right there as Sultan goes down by Kinji. Nice reaction speed right there. That shockwave play was not the one to do.
A valiant effort, but did land right in the middle of a trio, all kid of the teeth. Kinji has that shield bubble out. Looking to potentially make a rotation soon. We'll have to see here. I almost want to see one of these players toss it straight up, knock it down onto their own head, and make a move with it at the same time.
So he puts the bubble down so that their pad doesn't get taken out. So he says he's gonna set that up for the safety measure right there, and just like that, they are able to skate away and get to the next safe zone here. Nice long rotation, perfect launch pad. Not a single one of their teammate was affected or shot on that rotation right there. So that was a very clean pad away.
Power still solid right there. Toggle, Eska.
There's Toggle's chucking in all of the grenades right. Goes down. Kiki or knock. That's a triple knock with the grenades right here. He's just letting them go.
But grenades are pretty good, especially when you have so many players stacked together. You have your team. Spray down the walls where you're tossing those things.
And just look at the map. They're all in the same spot, so naturally you're going to hit someone.
We're about to get into placement points here. Just before we cut, we have 16. There you go, 16 trios remaining. As soon as we get to top 15, everybody picks up a set of points, 34 players total, which means a lot of these trios are no longer trios. You have quite a few single or duo players left at this point as the feed's still lighting up. Players are now forced to the northwest side.
Oh, I see. It looks like they're setting up a shockwave, right? Are they trying to set up the perfect shockwave kind of play here, angling the structures?
Craftsmanship is key, just as a reminder.
It's important to set it up properly so that everyone can get on out, but it looks like there's no time left.
No time.
They're just going to have to go ahead and throw it down. It's going to be a very scuffed shockwave here. But
honestly, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Sigil with a big move there, landed literally in a set of builds already, and there's edits set up. He now has a bubble shield to protect. He can look back and try and help his teammates if he needs to, or make a move here. He's going to try and build up to his duo.
And Eska does get taken out there, so Toggle is going to get in a little bit of a 1v1 right here. Someone with a box battle is trying to look for that replace ball. You have to wait for it. Nice shot. Noor's going to eat the big pump to the face right there. He's going to put him right down. There was nothing he can do. He kind of asked for it.
Literally just waiting. Just waiting for the edit. You know it's going to happen. Just wait for the edit. It's boxed in. Going to have to try and get ahead of this storm. Down to 13 HP. Traps down. He does have the splashes, but it is not enough. That trio goes down. Looks like in 13th place. 12 trios remaining as the rest of the field. Shockwaves, tarps, and launch pads towards the next safe zone.
And now we're looking at the end game, Zone 7 here. You have your teams already situated up in the high ground. Shockwaves are already flying all around you here. Power, NM7, we're jumping back in. We saw land some ridiculous snipes earlier today. He does still have that heavy sniper. Someone is going to sneak up behind him, but they have a nice little pinch right there. Great white shot right there. Doc Lupa, he catches Anatomy with a quick cleanup and quick reaction speed right there. It's actually two that fall down to them. And they're still a full trio.
Big hit. Quick little splash. Put another 20 across the board. All three teammates sharing that heal.
Great
Excellent
job.
call. These rotations in. Trying to get these quick edits and try and tarp while your teammates are still with you.
He's out of mats.
And healing. That's big. Yeah, no mats left. NM7 is empty now. They're going to have to trade off who's doing what on the team. Still making moves, though. Bubble shield there. Plus, the zone is right at their back. Player dropping in. Same floor behind. Rotating out in the storm. Trying to stay safe, but can't quite find it. Back into the safe zone here as NM7's looking back. This is a great opportunity. If he had held that for maybe 2 or 3 more seconds, he might have had another shot on the player that did get the knockdown underneath. Big movement into the safe zone is key here, but he's only sitting on 3 builds. Got 3 metal builds remaining. 9 points, and there's six trios left to trap behind, just in case somebody tries to drop down in, but does get broken. Player underneath. It is basically chaos at this point.
And then Sayer is the absolute slayer so far. Oh, but he is going to get chipped down right there as Minzu takes him out. We've been following Minzu Yonks and FHD for all these players for so long now. This is looking like the toe-to-toe right here. Minzu on YouTube Boxfighter, Moon, and Kinji all have the high ground right here. They have stinkers, they have explodes. They're set up for success right now. Here comes a quick edit. Minzu's trying to get this peek right here. Is he going to be able to connect? No, the shockwave pushes him out. In comes the firing. He doesn't have time to push all the way through. It's going down. Somehow, they close out by staying alive just long enough. The shots, the trades, FHD and Yonks were holding it down, actually trading the shots. The shockwave was perfect.
Minzu's trio went from the only full team left to both players knocked and Minzu in the storm because of a single shockwave so fast. I think nobody on that team saw that coming. Absolutely ridiculous. Last couple seconds there. Now, just to take a look back and really give us some details. We got Shy Wager out in the studio. What do you got, Shy?
Heck yeah, these guys had the power, they brought the force and cleaned out the game even at the worst circumstance possible. Even throughout the game, we saw double heavy snipes. We saw so many cool utilizing mechanics being used across internationally, which is huge because, you know, Lupo and Monster had a conversation. Are these guys caught up? Do they have enough time? Is everything, you know, in place for this region to be at the top spot next to EU, NA, right? We have this breakdown of a little bit of separation in the middle. We have NA West, EU, Brazil, as well as NA East, and they're all in that big top 8 region. But we have these top 4s. The first time Team and ME on the board, these games actually broadcasted as well. We can see people now becoming stars, right? We could have the next insane, calmer, clutch individual mongrel, but, you know, international across the season, a different time zone, playing his own type of metagame, his own type of strats being dropped down from height, going upwards, downwards, everywhere around the entire server. So it's really cool seeing how a new region develops and exactly where they actually place themselves in the timeline of exactly how their skills are, how their build fighting metagame is, what they try to do on height afterwards. A pattern we saw in the first EU games where, hey, if MMB have height, everyone below them, no shields at all. Every tag, it's a headshot from a Scar. It's an easy 72 white damage tag that usually gets them that elim at the end. Middle East, same way. We're going to break it down in just a second, but there's an entire type of shifted metagame where it's kind of those early Season 3, Season 4 tendencies combined with the knowledge you have at the end types of, you know, Season 8, Season 9 end games where, you know, you're rotating, you're tarping, you're saving your items. At the same time, early game, you're using them immediately. No thought whatsoever. You have everything on your board. You have your inventory. You know exactly what your teammates have. The comms are nice. Everything's on the plate, ready to go, ready to get feasted on. So Middle East right now for me is just is really nice. We're going to be going into a clip actually of an early game, I believe, Happy Hamlet game. We're going to dive in with Kinzel, I believe. We'll see how he plays out. Actually, no, this is a power clip. There we go. Kinji up in Happy Hamlet. It's going to be really dope to see him actually cut out Forest team on height. We talk about the metagame, right? When Shockwaves first got introduced, it was a straight pump or combat shot upwards. It took people time to get used to that AR spray. He has it in his inventory already. These guys are caught up. They know. Ramp edits, practicing creative, right? Very ingenuitive. A lot of ingenuity there, as well as wall replacing for protection. It's not raw gameplay, it's actually curated practice, and they're brand new to the actual international scene, which is amazing. You know, baiting your teammates out for HP, going for finishes. Even support players like Moon know exactly what to do. Now, the star trio that won that previous game, Power FHD, knowing how to use and take angles properly, has traps in front of him, doesn't matter. Knows to stay for those right-hand peaks, knows when to engage, low HP, still does not matter. No pressure taken because these guys have practiced. This is not their first rundown, but it is their first showdown of exactly what they can do, right? No Mats here, has the elims, low health, still knows exactly when to look up, what to loot, when to use your utility, and when to support your teammate and still have a presence in the game, which is once again something players learned a lot later. So these guys are caught up with the metagame. They do know how to finish off. They know their exact win conditions as well and when to drop them through. Amazing gameplay. We're going to now tune in and see what else they can do on the Middle East. I'm going to be piking it up with my man Zeke coming in. We're both going to hit that cast. We're going to see exactly how these guys go down. We'll relive that breakdown actually together live. Zeke, what did you think about their presence compared to the rest of the international regions?
Man, I think we still have quite a bit more to see from this region. I think you did an amazing breakdown there. I think the ceiling for ME is still very high. We haven't quite seen what they're fully capable of, but I think over the weekend, we'll definitely see it. I'm also excited that we get to finally hang out, Shy Wager and Zeke. Chic. We have come together. That was great. Actually, that is a true thing of the game. But anyway, the games are ready. Let's hop right in, Fortnite fam. We're jumping out the battle bus. We're going to begin this game. I can't wait to see what happens here in this game. Because remember, these happened over this morning. Earlier on, while everyone wants to sleep, including myself, I slept like a baby. It's kind of, not entirely true. But anyway, we're getting into it. We can see now where people are trying to land early. So, I mean, you know, you've got the Pleasant there. You've got a team of Junk, the old Villain Factory. You've got some at Snobby, some flying even over Greasy. There's still quite a bit of teams, though, still that are airborne.
Yeah, see, one thing you mentioned earlier, Zeke, was the whole idea of these games happened this morning, right? For me, chewing gum, you leave it on the table untouched, still good to eat later in the day. There's so much flavor in these games we have yet to see. No, seriously, man. Like, once again, we're tuning with power. Hey, look at this pattern, right? I kind of, you know, went to the FHD/Mongrel comparison. These guys are in retail. Mongrel's in retail. You know, we had Monster, Lupo, saying these guys have been waiting for a long time, right? There's so many VODs they've been watching. They have the knowledge, man. They have the power.
Yeah, and now look, they land over here on the, what do we like to call this? The top side is blacktop. So
residential.
This is residential.
Yeah,
there we
yeah.
go. I literally came up with it as you were saying. What's wrong with me today? But they are on the residential side, which is good. I personally, and this just might be like my thinking, but I feel like the loot's a little better on residential side than blacktops. Would you agree? Or do you think it's the other way around?
I think that there's more, there's sparser loot on the blacktop side. We're looking at Tilted right now, but I'm going to keep talking about what we saw in retail. There is sparser loot on the blacktop side, but like residential does have, I think, more drop spots on the floor loot. But, you know, we got those bendings on blacktops, and you have more of a horizontal advantage on everyone you see.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to kind of, you know, pick a game plan on blacktops. With residential, you kind of have to all in all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you do get engaged on, like, once again, you're all in, right? We see it in OCE, X2 Twins. They always end up having a fight, some type of highlight. It's really cool. Right now, though, you know, Lupo and Monster went over Tilted Town, the advantages, disadvantages of building and not building. What are your, how do you think player opinion has been of Tilted Town from the beginning to the end of how people treat the job?
I think originally people were maybe a little taken off guard by the fact that you could not build until the town. It was like, wait, but the whole thing is that you have to build and whatnot. And it's like, well, yeah, that's still a very big aspect of the game. But now there is a POI dedicated to you testing your shooting skills, right? How good are your angles and your peaks? How good are your rifling skills or even your close quarter combat skills? And that's what Tilted offers in its current state. But we're back on board with the Power Trio, the Trio of Power. They have themselves a Brute. They're looking to take it to this other Brute across the way, Shy. Now, what's crazy here is, remember, they have these laser designators. So the other Brute's fully aware. They're like, hey, there's another one. They're moving toward us. We need to try and take this down. But Power's on 18 effective HP. And it's just not enough. It's so easy to be focused down in the Brute right now. So unfortunately, FHE is going to go down. And I don't think there's anything else the other duo can do about this, right? They just kind of have to let him go down and regroup and assess the situation. NM7 does have the sniper, so if he can get a cheeky shot off, he can down someone immediately. But, like, look, the other Brute spawned like, no, friend. We're going to hunt you down. Don't worry. Don't get too far.
Absolutely. Like, Brute combat is one thing that also has its own metagame, and like these guys know too, right? Focus the driver 100%. Usually the people you put into the Brute early game are those who don't have the same amount of loot. We're looking at a pump TAC SMG gold sniper on NM7. But FHD, all you have were zapper traps, a bunch of gray items, very easily focusable. And right now, you know, their enemy team is big and hard focused. I'm pretty sure it's the ASMR guys, Spy and Wagner. These guys are just coming in with a big Brute of their own, forcing through straight up, gaining all the loot as well. One big thing about having a Brute in retail, it's like butter on toast. Perfect combination, even jam on toast, anything but mayo. You get these loot spawners so much faster with the stomp mechanic as well as the rockets. Granted that they were nerfed at one point, you still have so much damage to instantly just get these launches over and over again. The biggest downside to retail being you spend so much time in there, right? You negate that, you have the perfect setup entirely in the whole game.
Yeah, and then you can kind of take that Brute into later game and use that to kind of mess with other trios out there. I like this too. The ASMR trio. ASMR, they're quiet. They are in the Brute right now. They are destroying day spawner. Shy, what is the loot pool looking like if you sat there and retail and destroyed all the loot spawners?
I personally think that a lot of launch pads, a lot of campfires, and a lot of ARs everywhere for you, including pumps.
I like that very much. But now We are across the way because look at this, Minzu and Kinji. This trio, we saw an absurd amount of snipes last game. Now, many of them they couldn't follow up on just based on where they were, but look at this. He drops down and he gets counter dropped. That is a zapper. He's got to be careful. It's okay. All right, I thought that wasn't Moon. I saw a second shot from the right, and I was like, if that is this enemy trio, like, Minzu's going to be eliminated. There's nothing they can do, but it's okay. Moon was there. He had the assist, and look at the loadout. It's just shining array of colors.
Yeah, Happy Hamlet, I broke it down in one of the job spot breakdowns. Vendings galore, so many chests, right? You eliminate as much of the loot pool as possible to what you need to keep looting over and over again. You know, loot drops, chest spawns, every vending that's available to you as well. You get to pick and choose what you want. You use it in the fight as well really fast if there's just one other team contesting you. Looks like these guys are the kings of Happy all the way in the Middle East, which is huge. We have now two big things as well that a lot of people don't realize in the game is when you have kings of a drop spot clash against each other, you don't really see where people come from, right, in the end game when they're on height. But now that we know that we have the ASMR boys having all of retail, we have this rainbow loadout on every single person from Happy, we can now see the storyline build up all the way to the end game of these two star trios at the moment in this game. Yeah, I mean, these guys are looking very, very good, but look who else is here. We've got two trios just in front. There is one player from a trio left in Old Yonder. And there's a trio making their way over a hill by that long ravine there. Okay, so it's Sazerin there, who's by himself. I'm not sure what he's still doing there. It looks like he might just be crouched, just potentially trying to loot there. You got Simar, JD, and Cake Park, Dash? Cake Pack, Dash. I like that. I do enjoy some cake as well. But now they just get to kind of walk into Old Yonder. I mean, there's obviously going to be no loot. They could farm up for materials if they wanted. All right, I'd take that back. There was one piece of loot, which was just the ammo box. My apologies, didn't see it. But now they're right here on the edge of Storm, right? Yeah. Of the new safe zone. So they're probably feeling pretty comfortable because they do even have a shockwave, which look like they have a shockwave apiece, and they even have a jump pad, the launch pad to get them to safety. So it's all going their way here in the early game. Yeah, there's an absolute skirmish all the way in the snow side. We've kind of seen things develop, I guess even in Middle East as well. A lot of the people like to land split. They like to be up in the air, so to set a stage for you, Zeke, it's always just, you know, a bunch of people playing desperate with a bunch of trios that have already finished their fights. So you can imagine, you know, how scared people are split off. You can see exactly how they rotate it in. And you do see a little bit more survivability coming out of snow side towards the bones over here, towards the big monster skull. But at the same time, there is, you know, those mid-game fights that do break down at times. Right now, we don't see any. We can drop into just seeing the options that Toggle has now to move towards, I guess it's players left, 75 and 26 of 31 trios left. Don't forget, we want to hit top 12 before we start seeing any placement points at all, and we're right now in Storm Circle 2. So there's still so many players that have to be eliminated before this end game, right? I mean, I don't imagine we'll see like Storm Circle 750 people left, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did see that. There's still so much that can happen in this game. I'm curious to see what's happening back at retail. You know, we saw that trio, the ASMR trio. They're pretty looted, and I'd assume with that Brute, like, they probably cleared retail, like, super, super fast. I want to know where they went from there. Because right now, even, like, Seagull, Toggle, and Eska, they have no eliminations. Their loadouts, it's not shambles, but it's, like, borderline shambles, I would say. It's 100% shambles if it's a big zone, but you touched on it a little bit, right? Eliminations. When do you actually really want them? What is your win condition? So what would you say if you had shield bubbles and shockwaves, the different options people have towards the middle or end game that they can use to actually, you know, come through for elims or play for placement? That's a good question. That's tough. I think it depends on, because like everyone knows what heat they're in, so you know who, if you're paying attention and you're doing your homework like you should be, you know the other people in your heats, you know potentially where they're going to look to land. So like if I'm this trio, I'm not going anywhere near retail, right? Because we already know ASMR trio is there, and we even saw the power trio as well. So I mean, right now they're near Salty, which it doesn't look like, looking at the minimap, no one's there. Everyone's already rotated out, right? They're trying to get themselves into safe zone. Looking at, actually, on the top left, you could kind of see, so right now, look, they're just on the outside making their way in. So we're back on power, and looks like it's just Yonks by himself. This is a brutal spot to be in. He probably definitely does not have their cards. They're not getting rebooted. There's no way. So right now, Yonks just has to do anything he can.
I mean, I'd imagine he's probably wanting to play it slow, right? He's like, look, if I can even just play for placement and get us those points, if he can find an awesome pick, great, but that's just like backseat. Right now, it's survival mode.
Yeah, the worst sound anyone could have heard from him on the server for his situation is that shield break sound. The whole desynchronization of the shield. So right now, he's worried. He knows trios around him know that he's worried. His entire plan at the moment is to use, you see, half his loadout's already gone, right? We talked about when to use your loadout, when is your win condition, do you want elims? You said it, Zeke, it's full survivability at the moment, and Yonks has to go to the Bronx and even further now to even win the game, right? Like, 0 elims, the easiest thing to do, right? Getting 3 points through eliminations is 3 separate fights. A lot of mats used there, right? A lot of gun skill required, a lot of brains required in the fight against 3 other people. But if you separate it into entities on the map, right, you only have a maximum of 31 trios on the map, 31, 33. So in this game specifically, I think we're at 26 out of 31. We're kind of far from placement, but separating it into just looking at singular entities moving around the map and playing placement that way, right? Using your mats against one entity rather than 3 separate ones in a fight. You can then kind of, segment out your loot, your minis, your mobility, and actually get further and get 3 points without getting insane frags in an actual fight.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I hadn't considered that. That's pretty dope. But, I mean, it's tough, right? Like, I want to be hopeful for Youngs in this game. And what's different is, like, during qualifiers, you had kind of 10 games and you had 3-hour window. So, like, if you were in this situation, you could say, look, I'm just going to run in a team and hope for the best. And even if I was eliminated, it's fine. We're just going to hop back into another game. But these are heats, right? So, like, right now, everything is on the shoulder of Youngs, right? Because we're going a full game at a time. So Youngs just can't say, all right, let's just let this game be our wash. Like, no, he actually has to sit here and try. And, I mean, if I'm FHD, if I'm NM7, I'm sitting there, like, looking out for him, like, right, you've got a team here, you've got a team there. Like, just try and keep yourself positive. Because, like, for me personally, if I was in this situation, it would be so stressful.
Yeah.
But these are the very best of the best. They're here for a reason. As I say that, caster curse in full effect. I finished my sentence and Youngs gets picked up. It's okay. All they have to do is go back in, let that game wash over, and prepare themselves for this next game. Well, for them, these games already wrapped up overnight, so hopefully for the next game, he steeled himself, at least hopefully.
Yeah, you touched on it a little bit. This is really, it's going to be a weird analogy, so I segue, but bear with me here, right?
I'm
said
listening.
The game was on Yonks' shoulders, right? In cartoons, you usually have like an angel or a devil on your shoulders, right?
Okay.
To break it down for people trying to clutch up in that situation, replace the angel and devil with your win conditions, right? Am I looking for free elims rotating? Am I looking to play safe? And every time you see one of your shoulders kind of ding, that's what you have to play for. You have to suppress all the other easy stuff you see. Maybe there's a free heavy snipe you can take, right? At the same time, that exposes you, right? Your whole full shoulder is not lit up there. You got to play at the side of the angel. So if you're trying to learn how to get in the clutch situations, trying to learn exactly how to rotate in the game, what is right, what is wrong, segment it out, wait for the proper shoulder to light up, and that's an easy way, right? Right there, Yonks, the mistake he made, he kind of chose the devil shoulder. He saw free tags for rotation. He knows he needs elims because he has 0, but in doing that, he brought the full force of an entire trio out, right? He talked about entities. He turned a full 1 entity he could just block with mats to 3 people to face 3 separate AR shots. He got erased from the server.
Man, that's so dope.
Yeah.
See, Shy Wager dropping these knowledge bombs and making my inner child who loves Looney Tunes just so happy right now. I appreciate that, Shy. That was very nice. It's very well explained.
Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. Now we're looking at an entire different scenario. M. Sadiq, I've actually seen this guy have some amazing highlights in game and actually clutch it out in the Middle East server, sometimes topping the charts of our top plays of the week. Currently, he's going to be leading an actual trio. We're actually on Rampage's perspective right now, but these guys are absolutely raw when it comes to just taking those free aim duels, just engaging on fights and following up with stuff. Right now, I've never seen more stink tags from one stink on an entire trio. Eska goes down. We saw Eska last game as well as rotating earlier. Now, they're very set on loot, but once again, they know that win condition, right? Even if you're not solo, as a trio, what shoulder is dinging? I got a knock, okay, stink follows up, right? That's how you have that whole momentum process, you have it planned out. You just got to look for the right pings to follow through.
And if they had some kind of mobility, I would imagine they probably would have gone in and cleaned up this trio, right? Because they got so many tags. Like you're saying, once that stink came out, it was giving 2 damage numbers, and they were taking pretty much the entirety of that cloud. You know they're on low HP. So at least one of those guys is dropped really, really low. Unless they have something and they're burning resources like splashes, a slurp, even a med kit or bandages, like, you know they're burning through materials to try and get there. I'm glad that they were able to say, look, we're not going to follow up. We could either tarp all the way over there and we burn a bunch of materials. They hear us coming and they're ready to react. Or you just say, like, you know what, we got them to use their stuff.
See, now you're on that shoulder wavelength now. You know exactly what's right.
I got it.
Yeah.
See? There you go.
So now you can point that out every time you see it. That is literally the explanation of what win conditions are and how to follow up things in the inventory, right? A lot of people used to hate stinks. They realized that, you know, people randomly stink me all the time. That's kind of when they first came out, right? People didn't actually know how to follow up with them. But now we still have 4 stinks in Rampage's box. He's ran through how many trios beside them, right? He's not throwing them for no really dilly reason whatsoever, right? He's using them in response with explosives and in response with a knock. They're complementary items that aren't as griefy anymore, but actually strategically used to, you know, shake up an entire trio and not just have them box up the entire time when someone else actually has an advantage to push on them with.
Man, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Plus, I mean, you probably, if you are this trio, you probably want to save as many stinks for late game as possible, right? Because once the storm does start to shrink, super, like, small, those stinks become more and more valuable because then you're just, like, blanketing an entire tarp. And you're saying, as long as you guys are trying to get to safety, you're going to be taking 5 ticks, so you guys can hold that L. But at the same time, like, their loot isn't great, right? Like, it's probably mid-game centric, which is fine, but now we're starting to move into that late game, so they want to try and find another trio to get their loot and kind of propel them forward, because, like, you've got the green pump, sure. You've got the long range in the air, sure. 4 splashes, awesome, but, like, those aren't power weapons. Those aren't a heavy side that you can just punch. And look, the power duo right now by themselves and Rampage.
Yeah, not to be confused with the other power trio that we saw go down. There are multiple players and many different organizations that are playing across all the regions and in the same region as well.
Yep.
These guys are still alive. Looks like they have one person. They might have a full trio actually. Yep, looks like 90's there with them as well. You actually touched on a very cool aspect I want to touch on as well. You talked about loadouts and endgame and the map, right? I'm really glad you brought that up because the later the game goes, the less space there is. A green pump and blue pump difference is like huge in mid-game fights. But when that circle is small and you're riding Storm, that's where even just having a gray AR for a follow-up matters. There's not that much separation between, you know, just you want to have a spray weapon. So you got an amazing breakdown, you know, kind of these win conditions get so much more diverse throughout the game as they keep going, and the zone gets smaller. So that was a really cool breakdown.
Hey,
I like that a lot.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Go.
Man, this is the first time we're hanging out, and we get to freaking take our breaks together. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Here we go. The different alter ego, Namfu, Mev, and Ego here, Dennis. So not the alter ego trio we're used to seeing. More of their comrades, and they're on 5 eliminations. You know, they're in top 20 right now, which is huge. If they play for another 8 trios, they're going to get themselves placement points. Now, their loadout's looking real good. They just picked up a minigun, which is huge. They have 3 stinks, an RPG, a blue pump, splashes as well. They've got materials, almost 150, almost fully capped out. These guys are looking real good. So now this is going to go back to your shoulder dinks, right? What are you looking to play for? And right now, as the storm comes in, you're looking to get these tags, right? Anyone's like, oh, the storm's literally on my back. Time to start moving. Those are those people that these guys are looking to pick up if possible. They're also on the low ground tarp, which is going to kind of shape kind of how they're going to be forced to engage people coming up here shortly.
Yeah, these guys are 100% playing the horizontal game. As you said, low ground tarp means you cannot go lower at all. Means that you are fighting for your lair 24/7. The reason people love having mid ground so much is because they can actually move, as you can see, up, down, left, and right. They have an entire new axis they can operate on. But low ground does have its perks, as you saw. Ultimately, no matter what, you end up on the dirt when you're moving around the map, right? If you're not on your builds. So plays like that where you force people down with the trap, they can't move anywhere past you. So they have to interact with you. So owning this lair, although it is the hardest, ultimate low and ultimate height most of the time, it does have some of the most rewarding things because, A, you never need to place floors when you're ultimate low, right?
Save materials that way.
Exactly. You know exactly where your elims are coming from because they're all usually above you or behind you in storm. You're never going to be challenged from the bottom or diagonally from the bottom at all. You basically have very good camera control around your entire horizontal axis, as well as just looking up slightly to just see what's happening on your floors and if any RPGs are coming down straight up above you. So it's actually not bad to control ultimate low. The only issue being that is everyone's desperation play to go to randomly when they are at the end of the game, right? It's like, hey, I'm in trouble, gotta drop low. So there's so much to take an account of on that horizontal plane, it gets hard. Now we're looking at a 6-zone rotation. This is where the action and the meat of the game comes in. The first placement point getting dropped, top 12 now, 34 people alive. Zeke, the heals are still there. So is an RPG. What does that mean for their end game?
I mean, right now they want to try and challenge for high ground and get the highest tarp possible and then start raining those RPGs down. And look at this, 700 rounds in that minigun. Dennis wants to try and apply pressure to everyone. It doesn't matter where they are. He wants to use that minigun and try and put them off edge because now look, he's going for height, which is smart, and they actually got it. This is going to be great for them. They can rain down those shots, and everyone that's on those lower ground tarps, though they had the advantage of being lower, now they have to worry about this constant minigun pressure from above on top of people on your tarp, people below you, people also using other types of explodes. Are there stinks in play? There's so many more things that they don't have to worry about being on that high ground tarp. And now they're just saying, yep, everyone down below, just keep worrying. No, it's fine. This minigun, there you go. Spammy, oops, sorry, Spammy. You just got picked up on the crossfire, right? Like,
Spammy got spammed.
He got spammed. I like it. But, I mean, right now, if you're everyone down below, I mean, first of all, let's talk about their HP. Super non-existent. Fiesel's there. The other alter ego, is he going to go down? I'm not sure. There was one of the ASMR trios. Top 8, we get another round of placement points. There you go. And now this is just going to be on this alter ego duo and Dennis to try and close out the game. No one's even contested it, by the way. This is the first RPG we've seen go out. So now they're saying, great, everyone else is down below is fought. They're all super low. Let's start using our resources, start trying to burn people down.
Yeah, these guys have that default split broken down as well. Dennis on top while Mev and Namfu are at the bottom, making sure that even if there are shockwaves, right, people have learned, they've played around them. Right now, minigun sprays coming down. People have saved their hard mats for this endgame, but in doing so, they might have taken tags through their wood moving around in the mid-game. Those tags will prove crucial because every minigun shot is 20 to 25 damage on the person straight through their builds. Right now, it's just an easy beam, an easy spray from high ground. We saw Sadig earlier who was controlling one layer of height, ultimately down at the dirt. Klops actually goes down, one of the top trios in the region. Hopefully he makes it through the heats. We will see the standings hopefully at some point. Right now though, Dennis, 4 elims. Mev, another 4. We have a total of 11 elims on this trio at the moment with more to come. There is a top 2 spot available for placement. That minigun is not stopping. All the time they could use for rotating and making sure their builds are fine. They don't need to because their height, they use it on pressure. Gets all the way down the low ground. Siddiq gets that big knot, and Kappa, no joke, this time he gets taken out. Dennis, the whole trio surviving all the way back to retail where we started. What a lore and eventful game, Zeke.
That was so much fun. Don't forget, though, that means that Hero Kappa there was, don't forget, he's on Klops and Fiesel's team, so placing second is 12 points. So shout-outs to him to making it the last team. Good on you. But now we're going to send it back into the studio with Dr. Lupo. What you got for us?
Zeke, Shine, thank you very much. It's interesting to see how over time we've seen a lot of other regions build up around different competitive metas, and now that the Middle East finally has their shot, things are a little different than I think we've expected. We've seen from other regions in the past. It's excellent to see the competitive nature of these Middle East players. And Sundown, what do you think so far?
It's been really good. I mean, honestly, a lot of what we expected, the teams who have been up on that leaderboard consistently pushing into really the top 5 in the top 10, they've been up there in our predictions. They all advanced through to tomorrow, and we've seen kind of the disciplined gameplay where people are stacking on their teammates, relying on it, and playing for the late game, doing everything they can to try and avoid those early and mid-game fracas, to avoid kind of those big sharks who are running around looking for the elims and get into those late game scenarios. But I know there are a couple plays you wanted to take a look at specifically here.
Very specifically indeed. Now, production prepared a little package for us, specifically, I believe, around Alter Ego MEV. We're going to take a look at that real quick. Let's jump right into it. This wall, absolutely ridiculous. Now, as you were saying, a lot of the team fire stacking on top of each other and taking shots at players in opportunity positions like this. Gets a quick pickup on Teddy's, and it doesn't stop there. You have players rotating from the outside of the map, and you'll notice the shots start, MEV takes a couple, and the comms between these players, it immediately becomes a three-player beam position where they're up above everybody else. The comms will say, hey, guys, right over here, and everybody just the team fire out of nowhere, spraying down on the builds as players are trying to make these rotations, and the RPG shots, an alter ego on alter ego elimination there in your feed. You hate to see it, but it's communication like that is created, especially in trios. We see it more than in duos or solos, and that's why I'm excited maybe one day squads as well. That team fire is so powerful. Even in a position where you're going to get third party from another team rotating in. We've seen it in a couple of the games so far in the Middle East today. You'll have team fire positions, but the pinch from either side. But you have all three players taking shots simultaneously on one or two walls. It's so powerful that not even all the builds in the world can save you from that. And that's putting these players in spots where not just 1, 2, 3 eliminations on from one trio to another, but maybe the team behind that's pushing in, it feeds into a chain of eliminations that's going to push some of these teams higher up the board than I think any of us expected them to go.
Yeah, and you're seeing that a lot when you have the three players who are stacked on top of each other, and then their comms are there. I mean, we joke about MMB like it's really chaotic, but when they all call out, you see, boom, everyone snaps over, and the team fire happens instantly. You're seeing Middle East put off a lot of that right now, but on our end, yes, there are still some issues going on with the matchmaking on Europe's side, so we're going to go to a break right now. While we take some on our end, we will have some additional messaging that is coming forward, so don't go anywhere. We're just hanging out. We will have more games going forward. We're going to continue to fill with the Middle East games as we come back. So we're going to dive in a little bit deeper to them, which is something I'm really excited about because a lot of people don't necessarily get the visibility into this region. They don't have the opportunities to really go in and dive into this gameplay and look into what makes Fiesel, Kappa, and Klops so good.
Go such a long way. Now, I do want to make a quick note. If you're out there watching, believe me when I say I understand that production delays, it can be frustrating, and without a doubt, the people that are in charge of this are trying to work through them as best they can. I would ask the people that are watching. This is from me. This isn't from Epic. This isn't from anybody like that. I'm sure production right now is going nuts. Like, what's Lupo doing? Do me a big favor if you're out there watching right now. Try as hard as you can to not be frustrated with delays like this. Things happen. It's a very complicated game, and there's a lot of systems at play here to get every single thing coordinated simultaneously. Let me tell you, it's not easy. There's a lot behind the scenes. So thank you very much for your understanding. And if there's any frustrations, don't direct them at Epic. Maybe direct them at your keyboard or something like that. So thank you.
Definitely protect the keyboard, but I promise you, we are looking into it. We're trying to get it resolved as fast as possible. If you need to yell at anyone, you can yell at me. It's fine. I'm used to it. I said do it right there. Go ahead. You can send it all on my way, but I promise you, we'll get it resolved, and we'll always have the ability to go through and continue to watch some of these games because, again, it's always great to be able to take a look at the other regions. And, I mean, I'm excited. We're going to be able to see a lot of Brazil